All right, welcome into the film room. We're talking Jalen Milroe. If you missed, the opportunity to check out a little bit of the content that we are putting up, we put up a podcast where we talk through some of these things, broke down our opinion on Milroe from strengths and weaknesses. So check that out because it pairs with it. We're going to dig into the film. We're going to talk through that as a part of the process we're doing. But before we do that, I do want to just remind you, if you're listening to this, you're maybe checking out a free preview on YouTube. Make sure to give us that thumbs up and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, we'd really appreciate that. If you're checking this out, maybe you got an email about it on the free side. Like I said, we do break these usually in half or into 1/3 of it is free. So check the whole thing out in its entirety by supporting us. You can get that for literally less than a cup of coffee a month. Really, a few cups of coffee can cover the cost to really join and support some good independent Browns content, which you get subscriber only chats, breaking news alerts, ad-free full-length podcasts and film rooms. You get our full articles in the newsletter side, and like I said, these film breakdowns unlocked to their fullest extent. And obviously we have the variation of an every single day film room newsletter and podcast Substack discussion that you can find yourself a part of. If you're a dire fan of the Browns, you really care, I think that's important too. And then we do offer a really unique founding members channel where you get some free Browns film breakdown swag, including a hat like you see on my head right now, that's free of cost. And then you get direct access in a Slack channel to the guys on staff to talk Browns all day, every day. If you're into that sort of things, really cool opportunity to get some interesting perspective. So check that out if you haven't. But Scott, I welcome you in, man, and we are ready to talk about some Jalen Milroe film. So let's dive right in, man. Let's do it. And I think the first look is, again, this quarterback draw ISO stuff that you can really put into place. I know it took his year, not this past year we're looking at, but the year before, it took Tommy Rees a little bit of time to figure out the best way to apply him. But the legs are a positive. They try to throw with him as much as they can within reason, but it's hard to ignore this trait.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like front loaded this cut up with a bunch of like really good run clips just because I mean it is the best part of his game. So I wanted to be sure that everyone can see just how good he is. This is like a great run. I love the toughness here to put his shoulder down and follow his blocks. Like his vision is great. He has a really great understanding of how to understanding like block leverage. I think when he's following his guys, and like he loves to follow his blockers. Like he's not gonna run out in front and just go the opposite direction of his blocks. Like he's really smart with how he runs the ball, and I think it can definitely be a weapon at the next level, and like something that needs to be considered or will need to be considered by defenses. And then within the pocket, like, yeah, this was a great little sidestep here and shake off the pressure. Like it's not only like, okay, he's great at design runs, but he struggles like scrambling. No, I think he's good. Like Jake and I talked about it before, like he's not going to be a like Lamar level Houdini back there, but he's got good twitch, good foot speed in the pocket to like just avoid traffic. I think that there are times, and I think there's one later in the cut up where he doesn't necessarily make the right decision or find the right escape route, but like he has the ability to do it. And another thing is like he does step into the pocket to escape. Like he's not a bail to his right, bail to his left, loop around everybody. Like no, he will go through it, which is good to see. So yeah, I just wanted to be sure that we highlight like the run stuff here because like it is, like I said, a key part of his game and kind of what sets him apart from and this too. Like he has breakaway speed. Like he's running away from SEC guys. Like that's hard to do for anybody, let alone a quarterback. And he's doing it, somewhat easily. Like it's just good cut. Like not afraid to take a hit. There's a lot to like here with his running ability.
Yeah. Built sturdy, man. Like really powerful base, can run through arm tackles, all of that. So he's not Josh Allen big, but he is certainly physically powerful enough inside of his frame to make people miss. Outside of having wiggle, I think he can make people miss by running through arm tackles and stuff like that, and using the NFL's desire to protect quarterbacks to his advantage a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is very, again, tantalizing to think about if you're going to draft him. Again, this is like a little Q counter, so you're getting backside two pull-ins, your front side read. If you can give this football if you feel like the leverage is right. So read that, punch out to the backside, and again, man, like he doesn't really get caught on ankles very often, which is. It's an appealing trait that not many quarterbacks come into the league with. He's definitely a more gifted runner. I'm not sure pure raw athleticism and tools. Anthony Richardson probably ahead of him, but he's a much better refined runner of the football than Richardson was. Whereas like a big part of the sale of Richardson was look what he can do in the run game, but Richardson doesn't live in that world, if that makes sense. Like I think Milroe's more comfortable living and protecting himself and running the football. If that makes sense. I just think Richardson doesn't view himself that way, and I think it's kind of hurt him at times in playing in space in the league. Whereas I just feel like Milroe has a better understanding of how to protect himself in the mold of Lamar in the open field of like what's the right situation to try to run through somebody versus what's the right situation to get down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that play that a couple ago when they pulled the backside guard and tackle, like that is a Ravens play, like that Q counter, like power, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that was what Lamar did, with Roman or with Greg Roman, like how he kind of like was just unstoppable in certain games, and like Milroe clearly can do that. And I agree with what you're saying about Richardson there. Like Richardson's not like it's like he doesn't want to be a runner for
correct.
like as like his calling card. And I don't know if like Milroe wants to be a runner. I don't think any quarterback, like I mean maybe Lamar, but like I don't think many quarterbacks want to be like a runner and have that be their calling card. But Milroe could do that. I like his ability is that good that he could make that like what he does primarily, and then as the passing stuff develops, he can take his game to another level. So now this is like the good throwing clips. And something I mentioned before, like when you watch his deep balls, I think his accuracy downfield is good. Like I think he puts the ball in very good spots, very catchable spots for his receivers. Another caveat of this, but I like that he will stay in the pocket and take a hit too. Like it's not a huge facet of his game, but like if he wants to, he's going to take the hit and deliver a good ball. So like that is a nice little caveat to his game that like, you don't necessarily think of. I think if you watch, like if you look at his stat line or if you look at like how his overall broader scope of work. But, so I think the downfield accuracy is good. I think what hurts him though is how flat balls are. Now this one's like this is like an easier completion because the receiver has no defender around him. When it's a little bit more of a tighter window, he makes the window even smaller with how he throws the ball. So I think that it will limit him at the next level. And just something that needs to be worked on with like a good quarterback coach. Like he needs pro coaching and needs to figure out how to put more touch on the ball. And like I don't think he can, because of that, I don't think he layers throws really well, particularly at the intermediate level. As he gets closer to the line of scrimmage, his accuracy gets more wonky, which it's like just the opposite of any kind of quarterback in the history of football. So that is the stuff that's going to limit him a lot. I think is just as a thrower is taking the easy completions, being able to put the ball in catchable spots in like an NFL style offense of like, play action, hit a dig over the middle, over top of the linebacker, underneath the safety. Like I think he needs a lot of work there. So like his overall throwing ability is just average in my mind, and it pulls him down a lot because I think like there's only so much you can do with your feet. But
down to down. You got to be able to take some layups, and I think the consistency of the layups is where you start to question it. I do agree with that, and especially in the NFL where teams really force you to layer middle of the field throws at times. They want it. They know the easy throws are lobbed throws, vertical shots, right? And then quick in the 0 to 9. So they want to make you ask any coach, man, like DCs want to make you live 11 to 20. Like, can you layer it? Can you process it? Can you find it? Right now, this is a good one. I wanted to show this again because I know we skipped through it, but this is a very interesting little wrinkle that they're running a hitch from number one initially. But and I don't know if they're taught this way or if Ryan Williams, who's a 17-year-old down here, wide receiver is ridiculous, is just kind of processing that this is a spot I should push vertical on because nobody's behind it. The corner layers over number 2 and number 3 in their version of cover 3, I think they're running here. So yeah, it's just it's a rolled cover 3. So he's kind of trying to play over top, and then that leaves a void. And it's a pretty good process because Milroe is looking middle of the field to start. It is either shallow or his end breakers behind the shallow. And he processes the corner running over top of number 2 and delivers it up the sideline really accurately. So as you said, taking a hit too. So that's a pretty damn good clip of like 1, 2, can't throw it, 3 up the sideline and deliver it while wearing that hit from the defensive tackle. So a pretty good ball there. I think that's a great clip to show. And again, these are up the sideline. This is, again, you're nailing this a little flat. How the football comes out on these is, it's some of these where you could use a little arc, right? Hell of a play from his wide receiver here. I wouldn't necessarily call this like elite ball placement, but it's a good example of what you're talking about, where it's like, that can run you into some trouble in the NFL level if you're leaving that thing inside and it's coming out flat like that. So just something to be aware of. I don't think the arm is explosive by any stretch. I know people are talking about this and comes out of his hand different at these. I think the reason it comes out of his hands because he doesn't have a great ball tempo all the time. Now that's a good throw. I think, again, what does that mean by that? Well, you're either throwing it rock hard, you're throwing it on a line, or you're really struggling to put touch on some of those passes that need layered, like you're talking about. I think that's just not a core. It's not a core strength of his. He's really either putting his effort into it, or it's a placement issue that I think comes up for him a little bit too often.
Yeah. I agree with the arm strength comment too. Like I think that it's right
that's
on
a damn
the
good
edge.
Throw.
That's a good throw. Yeah.
Yeah. Hash to sideline.
So I will say, like, there wasn't many of these like opposite hash deep outs. And I think it's just the product of the offense. But like in terms of like his arm strength, like I think he's right on the edge of like average to good arm.
Yeah.
He can get the ball downfield. I mean, we saw it on a bunch of these clips, and like that throw from the opposite hash on the out is like kind of the key. Like, okay, how good is the arm? Because he has to deliver it. And like I think he can get away with the arm, and I think there's times when it will help him. But like, yeah, it's not a like difference maker for him by any stretch. And then so he's actually working in the middle of the field here. This is a good quick decision to go up the seam. I think it's not. Again, it's just so flat, and like it's not like he kind of had to there because I think the safety was so close, but it's just that is going to keep coming up in this, and it's something that stuck out to me that he's going to have to work on.
Right. No, I do think ball tempo stuff, man, guys knowing how hard to rip it into some throws versus when I need to feather it over the top of somebody or, put it on the sideline. There's a lot of that. That's not that's a good ball. 2 of those seam throws that you got to really, but you're putting something on it. It's a flatter throw, right? You're not over top and dropping it in between layers. We saw the other Qs have more success with that. I don't think you're wrong in that assessment at all there. It's a good ball in the over, right? Don't want to throw the slot fade. Comes back off of it. We'll watch it from the tight view and see where the eyes go. I think he's looking left side, then it's coming back middle.
Yeah. This was one of the.
Good job sitting in the pocket.
This was a good processing clip that I saw that I caught, and I don't think there's many. I think that's another little hang up for me on him. Like I don't think not that he can't read it, but like I just think it's not necessarily the design of the offense for him to really read things that long. So like that's something that he's going to have to prove at the next level. So I like this. I mean, this is great in terms of escapability and just creativity to like kind of make things happen. Good balance to stay upright in the end zone. And another aspect of like the arm strength conversation, like what kind of proves that it's right on that like good line is that, he makes that throw off platform and he doesn't really like, it's not dying after like 20 yards. Like he still has enough in it to get the ball there. So like like winnable football with his arm strength, but like it's definitely not top line.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
What do you think, Jay? What do you think about like his processing stuff? Because like I think that was kind of what was most clear to me of the three guys that we've watched. It was like, okay, he's